We're here with Neal Polaniecki, who's a lifelong resident of West Hempstead. Neal's going to talk a little bit about what he witnessed last night. It was Halloween night. We saw some mischief get ugly, and there were some incidents of hateful graffiti. Neal, tell us exactly what you saw, when you saw it, and what happened.
So, approximately 7 o'clock last night, I was on my way home. I actually had my kids in the car with me, so they saw the cars as well. And on the way home, I saw a huge group of teens, minimum 15 kids, walking, and they all had cans in their hand.
Cans of shaving cream.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, you know. But they all had them in their hand, and I kept driving down Adams, and I first saw a few cars that just had like cream on it. I called the police and said, hey, you know, there's a group of kids walking down Adams, and they all have cans in their hand, and I just passed a whole bunch of cars that they just, you know, you could tell they just sprayed. The precinct was very friendly and helpful. Unfortunately, they were busy at the time. They you know, there was actually a hold.
So you called the precinct itself?
No, I called 911. I called 911 straight, and there was actually a hold because of the call volume. And originally, the person told me like it was a very busy night, and they will get someone as soon as they could. And then, literally a minute later, as I kept driving down Adams, I then saw the cars that had actual words on them.
So what are some of the words that you saw?
So when I went down Adams, after I saw the first few cars, I then saw the cars that had the actual words, and they said, one of them was very clearly written. It said Hitler, big and bold.
And we have a picture of that.
Yeah, the first thing I did when I saw this was I snapped pictures. My thought was, if people saw it, they'll come out and start wiping it away. And I wanted to make sure. So I took pictures of everything. The Rebbitzin Kellemer, her car in very big had FU, but the full word throughout the whole trunk.
Right.
And her neighbor as well. Her neighbor, it was very hard to read it. But you know, you see a J and you see what looks like a W, you know.
Yeah, and the shaving cream dissolves quickly. So
right, so it was very hard to see what it said, but you know, she said when she first noticed it also, it looked like it said, you know, F Jews. Again, I took pictures, you know, as you saw them, some of them are hard to read. It looks like these kids didn't take their time, you know. So at that time, I called the dispatch back, straight to 911, and I actually, impressive enough, I got the same person who picked up the call, which is pretty unheard of. But I said, you know, I just called in about the kids doing some small vandalizing, and I think it needs to be looked at differently because some of these cars are written with anti-Semitic. At that point, the dispatcher said that this is now a different matter, and they had someone there within minutes.
Wow.
They had the whole street taped off, and me and a couple other guys in the community, as soon as the police gave the clear, we came by and we actually started cleaning the cars for the people. And I've actually received a message from someone in the community who had a video of kids going up to her door and spraying her door. When I got the address, I started heading there to help clean up her door, and on the way there, I actually found the group of kids. And a block ahead of me was a county car. So I flashed my lights at him and pulled up next to him, and I pointed out the kids on the block before were the group. And they turned around and cornered them and started.
Now, what is your impression of what happened between the police and these kids? Was anybody taken into custody? Were they remanded to their parents?
So there were a few kids that were put into the car and taken. From what the detective told me, they were just being taken home. Now, I know some members saw that the other kids were left and went on their way. It's not fully true. They were let go and they walked on, but a block later on School Street, all of them were apprehended, I guess would be the right word. They were all sat on the corner and held until each parent showed up. I know there was one incident where we had a community member show up to Coolidge location and started voicing opinions, to which the detective wanted to try to keep things calm. So I then went to the school location to kind of make sure we didn't have any other issues, because, you know, during these times it's important as a community we kind of keep our composure, and we really don't want to let these kids see that they got to us.
You are hearing a lot of anger from people in the community, from people that are in touch with you on social media, and group chats.
You know, I when this whole thing happened, I kind of posted about it just as a, hey, keep your eye out. If you see it, let them know. If you guys have videos, because, you know, the thing that was very surprising to the police was almost no one on Adams had a Ring doorbell. Thankfully, this one member who lived almost a mile away from that location had a video camera, and the kids got her thing, and that's when I went to help clean up the location. I didn't get there to clean it because we got busy with the kids when they caught them, but going there is what led me to find the kids on the other street and bring it to the authorities' attention.
As someone who grew up in West Hempstead, you're raising your family here, how did it make you feel to see this kind of expression towards the people in the community?
As a community member growing up here my whole life, and as a public school graduate myself, you know, it's tough. I don't want to, one thing I was telling the detectives is, as a community member, I know the community members don't want to hear the words, kids will be kids. Because this was not really a kids will be kids act. If you want to throw an egg or throw toilet paper, okay. But writing certain words, especially in the situation we're currently all, you know, as Jewish people facing, we don't want to hear kids will be kids. And I explained that to the detectives because I asked them, I said, you know, now that this has been posted and people on Facebook know about it, what's something I can let them know to kind of just, and the main thing is that the first thing they told me is, I want you to know and I want the community to know is that this is going to be taken extremely seriously. And I gotta say, you know, part of the West Hempstead WhatsApp group, I know you're a member of as well, is we see a lot of these members are getting very angry, and rightfully so. I'm not one to say to someone, you don't have a right to be angry. And I know some people were telling me that I am, you know, minimalizing what these kids did, and that's not it at all. You know, I drive around with my work van, we have a big Israeli flag on it, my house has a big Israeli flag. I'm not white, I'm just as angry as everyone is. But at the same time, we have to, as a community, trust our police department. We have to know that they're doing what's best for us. That day of hate where, you know, we had the Hamas make that threat that Jewish communities will be attacked, the police department was everywhere. They really helped out our community. We have no reason to not trust them right now. I witnessed everything firsthand from the second they got to the scene to the second they grabbed the kids. They really handled this the way they need to. What people need to understand is, by law and everything, there's a way things need to be done, and that's what they're doing.
Well, Neal, we want to thank you for taking action, being alert, not being a bystander, for taking the lead on this and alerting the police. And thanks for being a good community member, and thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Just as a final reminder, folks, if you come into a circumstance where you see a hate or bias crime, please remember that the county has put together a special bias hotline that you can use. Obviously, in case of urgent situation, please dial 911. But you can use the phone number here, 516-500-0657, to reach out in the case of a bias incident. It's very important to document whatever you might see, photographs, etc. Also, you can email anything you need to combatbias@pdcn.org. And, of course, if something else is going on, please use the Crime Stoppers number.